What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Casper's Kicks once again. Appreciate y'all for stopping in and checking out the channel. So, the drama between Nike and Stockx continues, and we've got added information now to the already ongoing lawsuit from Nike suing Stockx. So, if you're not familiar with Stockx, they are basically a third-party reselling app, and you don't only have to resell shoes in there, you can resell other items as well. But one of their big things is, of course, reselling shoes. Now, there's already been a lot of drama behind Stockx just in terms of how they operate. And this new information from Nike, or this new addition to their lawsuit, only adds to it and really brings into question a lot of things that people already were asking questions on. Now, I'm not the most... let me put this correct. I'm not the most versed on what all is going on, because it is a lot of stuff going on. One guy I do recommend checking out on Twitter is Sneaker Fetish. She's been updating a lot of what's going on, not only with this story, but other sneaker related stories. So if you're interested in it, I would go check out Sneaker Fetish, because like I said, he's got a lot of information and just knowledge on what's going on with everything. But basically, this started back in February when Nike sued Stockx over their Vault NFTs, and I believe it was 8 different Vault NFTs, and Nike filed a trademark infringement just because Nike was basically saying that this is our product and Stockx couldn't use them. And Stockx came back saying, no, it's not, yada yada. It was just a lot in that lawsuit dealing with the NFTs. Now, I don't have a ton of knowledge on NFTs, so please don't ask like what I know about NFTs, because I have like very limited knowledge on how they operate and all that. I like very little, so I would just Google NFTs, but they do stand for non-fungible token. Like I said, I know a little bit, but not a ton. Now, coming to today or yesterday or in this time frame, Nike added on to the lawsuit and basically claimed that Stockx was selling fake Nike shoes. And so how Nike got this information: so between December of 2021 and January of 2022, Nike bought 4 shoes from Stockx. This is what was in the article from Complex. Nike bought 4 shoes from Stockx, and all 4 shoes were listed as or came back as fake, according to Nike. Now, only one of the shoes was mentioned, which was the Jordan 1 Patent Bread. Of course, we're all familiar with that shoe. And that shoe is actually one of the 8 Vault NFTs that Stockx has come out with, or that Stockx came out with, and it's actually their best-selling NFT, the Jordan 1 Patent Bread. So there's just a lot going into it. Now, like I mentioned earlier, there's already been questions about Stockx selling fakes. People have time and time again brought up just in various places how they received a fake shoe from Stockx, or it was questionable, or there was just QC quality control issues on the shoe. And I mean, you're kind of stuck with the shoe, because as Nike did, they called out their Stockx return policy, which basically there is no return policy for Stockx. Once you get the shoe, you're kind of stuck with it, which is in this situation very tough, because if people are receiving fake shoes and you find out that it's fake, it's like, well, I don't want the shoe anymore, but you can't return it to Stockx anymore at the same time. So it's a whole bunch that goes into the story. So I did pull up the article on Complex, and they just kind of broke down everything that is going on with the ongoing lawsuit, and then of course this new information that was brought to light recently. So of course, like I mentioned, Nike was questioning Stockx selling real pairs. And then one of the other things that Nike talked about, and I'll just read it to y'all: the filing takes aim at Stockx's semi-proprietary authentication process, noting that the marketplace claims to use over 100 data points, and that its authenticators are better equipped than anyone to verify shoes' legitimacy, despite the fact that Stockx is not the entity that designed, created, manufactured, packaged, or shipped in the first instance any genuine Nike goods. So just going back to basically questioning Stockx authentication process, because one, Stockx is a major third-party reselling app, and they get a ton of shoes that come through just that they have to check. And I honestly kind of ask myself the same thing: is, are they really able to check that volume of shoes that they have coming into their warehouses, perform a 100% legitimate authentication process, and then ensuring everything is good to go, and then send it out? And it's almost like do they really have enough legit checkers to do that? And, you know, and I've never seen their, like, how many legit checkers they have, who all's on it. Like, you never really know. Do they have people that really know how to legit check shoes, or are they just hiring people off the streets and teaching them, you know? So there's a whole lot that goes into it that we really don't know on our end, but people have been questioning Stockx just because we don't want fake shoes, basically. Now, I'd be very curious to see where this ends up for Stockx, because this is a big hit when a major company is suing you already, and then they're adding in that you're selling fake shoes, especially when people in the sneaker community are already questioning if you're selling legit shoes at the same time. So this could be a big hit to Stockx. It could not be. I'd be curious to see where this ends up, especially now that Nike has, like, I guess, proof basically that Stockx is selling fake shoes. Now, for the patent bread that they did release, Nike did put out a picture of the shoe, and it did have the Stockx tag on the shoe, and they said that it came with a receipt from Stockx as well. So Nike says they have the proof that they did get a fake shoe. So I'd be curious to see how this does play out, and also, like I said, I'd be curious to see how this affects Stockx, because this is the type of stuff that could shut down apps and whatnot. So very curious to see how this plays out. I'd also be very curious to see what y'all's thoughts are on this. Like I mentioned, there's a lot to it with the NFT side of it, and then now we have the addition of Stockx potentially selling fake shoes, which was already being brought into question by a lot of people as it was. And I'd be curious to see how it affects the other reselling apps as well, especially GOAT and eBay. I've never bought off Stockx. I think I've sold maybe 1 or 2 shoes on there. I don't really use Stockx like that. But I use more of GOAT, but even then I don't really buy on GOAT like that. I really just sell on GOAT because it allows me to move shoes when I need to move shoes. But I'd be curious to see how that plays out for other third-party apps as well, especially GOAT, because GOAT and Foot Locker have been tied together, and that could be interesting in that aspect as well. I know GOAT has a return policy, so that makes it a little bit better on there, but at the same time, it's like, where could this go? Where could this end up? So like I mentioned, I'd be very curious to see what y'all's thoughts are on this. How do you feel knowing that Nike is doing this? Nike is bringing information on Stockx selling fake shoes. And what are y'all's Stockx stories in regards to buying shoes off there? Like I mentioned, I know a lot of people have had issues with Stockx, whether it be quality control issues or just a fake shoe in general. And I've even seen people, like other YouTubers, where they'll ship a fake shoe to Stockx to see if it will pass authentication. That is just another, I guess, test that they like to do. But I've seen several videos on that same thing happening. So like I mentioned, I'm curious to see where this goes, how this plays out. But like I said, let me know how y'all feel about this. What are your thoughts on it? And let me know your Stockx stories, because I'd be very curious, especially for someone that just hears about it and doesn't really shop on Stockx like that. I'd be curious to see y'all's experiences with buying with the app. But as always, I do appreciate y'all for stopping in. I have some reviews coming, so just kind of stay tuned. They should be dropping over the next couple of days. So if you're interested, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button, turn on the notification bell so you can stay up to date when I post new content. But as always, I appreciate y'all for stopping in. Hope y'all have a great rest of the week, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.